And welcome to the No Name Yet podcast. That is the podcast with no name. And on tonight's mini episode is the other guy on the show, Mo.
Mo is starving. I have a bowl of goat and rice next to me.
So yesterday I went up to Utica.
Mm-hmm.
We hit a store called John's.
Yep, John's over.
John's over. And it's snacks and drinks from around the world.
Great location.
And then
If
we
you're in
went,
the Crawford, the Utica area, definitely stop by there.
that's at the Sangertown Mall.
Mm-hmm. However
And
they want to call it. I just call it New Hartford's Mall.
okay, the New Hartford Mall. And then we ate at a halal place in the food court.
Very good. I think that was that was my first time having halal food. And definitely want to try more, maybe a family restaurant or something to get more involved. It's good. It's good. They did a
Yeah.
good, I wonder what somebody who owns like a family business, what they can do with it. Because I believe this spot is more of a chain.
You think so?
Yeah, because the lady said something, I forgot, but she used around one of those words of like, oh, this is one of the locations.
Okay, all right.
So I was like, okay,
Well, it was very good. And
it was.
we didn't even look up the name to share
We
the
didn't.
name with
We didn't.
everybody.
We didn't. It smelled good. I'm not gonna lie to you. The lady was really nice there, you know.
Well, let's look that up. We could always edit a little bit. All right, now we are talking about Jabril's Kitchen and Catering. And that's where we ate lunch yesterday. And Mo got the goat. I got chicken kebabs. We both got the mac and cheese.
You made a mistake though. You want to tell them?
Well, yeah, I ordered a medium. Mo had ordered a small. I don't know why I would have even thought for a second that his was the medium, but I did, and so I ended up bringing enough back for the family.
Which he did. And mine's could have fed us both.
Yeah, it could have.
Fed us both. Now you know
But
in the future.
it was great to be able to go into a mall, a food court, and to have a
A deep
lunch like that. Well, it definitely was not a fast food lunch.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah,
No, it wasn't. It's definitely healthier than most of the options there.
right. And not to knock the guys that run the pizza place and the food court too much, but Gritty and I had been there the week before around closing, and the guys at the pizza shop were really a high pressure on selling the pizza they had left. We'll give it to you for $15. And I'm thinking to myself, $15? This is a desperation sale. You got to come down, pal.
Yeah, for real. It's for real. At
Was a
least 12 to 10.
golden pizza. I mean, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah. Because most of the other spots you pay up to like 13, maybe 15. Now, yeah, around that price. That's like sounds like a normal price. So if that's not the normal price in the mall, apparently they're making their money off of pies in there.
Right. Yeah. And
Which
who
makes
knows
sense.
how long has that been sitting there?
Seriously.
Anyway, this isn't why we were going to do the mini episode.
I'm just hungry. My bad. My bad. It was me. Okay.
The reason why we're doing the mini episode is I wanted to let people, raise people's awareness to some of the nefarious stuff that is going on in today's world. And what happened this past week is the gray zone, which is you could call it an online newspaper, news outlet. It's edited by Max Blumenthal. There's several hardworking journalists that contribute to the gray zone. You could see their work at thegrayzone.com, and that's gray as in Gray. The Gray Zone. They were doing a GoFundMe fundraiser to raise money so that they could pay three young journalists that have been contributing to the Gray Zone, and the Gray Zone froze their money, citing some external concerns. This is reminiscent of what Canada did to the truckers that that protested vaccine mandates well into the pandemic. The truckers were characterized as white supremacists because one or two truckers had maybe a Confederate flag or had a Nazi patch. The majority of the truckers were of mixed ethnicity. A majority of the truckers were actually vaccinated, and what they were protesting was the potential of other truckers losing the ability to drive if they didn't comply with these new regulations. And in response, the Canadian government, the Canadian mainstream media, some American mainstream media smeared the trucker protest as something that it was not. It was people who live in a liberal democracy exercising the right to assemble and protest. But in response, they debanked several people that were a part of the protest, and GoFundMe, at the request of the Canadian government, froze GoFundMe accounts for the truckers. GoFundMe has frozen donations to a news outlet called the Mint Press, and their latest that I can only assume that someone in the government, the U.S. government, requested that GoFundMe freeze the funds for the Gray Zone. As we've been educated through the Twitter files, how the FBI, CIA, government officials have requested accounts frozen, taken down off of Twitter. People who have an alternate narrative to what the government is trying to put out there. So the Gray Zone is the latest victim of this nefarious, undermined stuff that is occurring. Stuff that when I was coming up we could only think would happen in Soviet Russia, communist China, the big evil dictatorships across the globe. And we're using language like GoFundMe's using language like we must ensure the safety of the fundraisers on our platform. We don't need GoFundMe to keep us safe. We're adults who can decide whether or not to donate to a certain cause. But when we hear about the government protecting our safety above and beyond seatbelts, it's starting to sound pretty authoritarian. So, Mo, how do you see this?
When you told me yesterday, I just remembered that there was another story, and I've heard before things about GoFundMe, and there's a lot of things a lot of good people who've used it for, but there's also this stuff that's happening. And, you know, I don't want to, I don't want to be in a situation with any corporation where this thing that this product that you created, this service you created was meant for us, right? To connect and share and keep an eye out for things out there in the world that need support. A just premise. And now we're looking at you sideways, which no one wants to look at you sideways, because the just premise and that we thought you was, built this product on is not just. You're spying and easy to manipulate, and you're doing business with, like, so it's sad that for these helpers, these people needed money. They've been working for what? Free, right? It was two or three reporters.
Yeah, I'm assuming they might have been working for free, or
Yeah,
maybe Gray Zone was giving them what they could.
volunteer, or even if
Yeah,
they were giving them a little bit of money. So that's our decision as Americans. We had spoken. We spoken. So this consistency of we speak but are shut up from these corporations just makes me upset each time. The sad part that government can come in and say, hey, well, we don't want you to support that.
right.
Thousands of people are supporting it.
Well, what,
'Cause
what
they,
I
Mhm.
what I pulled out of what you said is that this is another uh, corporation or another outlet that presents itself as kind of like having a grassroots theme. We're going to all come
Yes,
together and we're going to help somebody else. And,
yes,
you know, I know that some people balk when you mention the word fascist, but, uh, part of fascism is the collusion of government and corporate power. And this partnership between the government and an outlet like GoFundMe seems very fascist to me.
and if you're like me and don't really understand fascist behavior, time to start researching instead of getting upset at the people saying the word. Let's actually look up the
Yeah.
word
Well,
more. And
let me warn everybody, when you do go to research it, you might come away from it more confused than you went in, because fascism was used to describe the Nazis. Uh, if you take a look at Mussolini at the same period of history in Italy, that his government was considered a fascist government, and Franco around the same time too, from Spain, was considered fascist also, and three different governments uh, sharing some commonality. They're all brutal governments. So I would say that we in the United States we're experiencing somewhat of a soft fascism, but all the same, one of the main characteristics is that collusion between state and corporate power.
yeah, reading the characteristics, I believe would be helpful. Seeing those characteristics, because just going into a country and with especially like Germany or any other country, then you can get emotional. So I think finding the characteristics and outlining those things and learning to find those things, it will be a better method for myself or anybody else. Because like you said, you might just go in there and like, we're not like this, because you're looking at the extremes. You're looking at the behaviors of the people, but you're not able to get past, you don't know how to get to the starting point. It's very interesting with things like this, right? Like you got to get past the emotional stuff, get to the beginning, what it looked like in the beginning to make it what it is now.
And what I'll do is I'll put two links in the description uh, for a concept called inverted totalitarianism. If you're so interested in uh, educating yourself about that. And it's a concept of where America is by a scholar by the last name of Wolin. He's deceased probably about 3 to 5 years now, and he wrote extensively and this concept about inverted totalitarianism, and that where the United people in the United States are given the feeling that we are still a free liberal democracy, but in fact the government, the levers of power, are serving uh, the more powerful people at the top, the more wealthy people at the top, and that everything is all well and good until a movement, until the actions of somebody threatens their power, and then the full weight of the state will come down on that person.
Yes.
So we are living in some concerning times, and just to wrap this up, uh, I'd like to share the graphic that the Gray Zone came out with when they announced that their money had been frozen.
Mm.
And I thought it was creative. It made me laugh. So here we go. So there's the GoFundMe logo adjusted, and for those that are listening, it's GOF asterisk asterisk K yourself in the green with the whatever that is at the top, the sun, or is that a GoFundMe hand giving us all the finger?
I
Uh,
definitely think that's the middle.
or maybe they did that, made it look like is yeah, I bet they did
They're
that.
telling us they're number one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So or the Gray Zone's telling GoFundMe their number one.
they're number
So
one.
I know that I will not be making any donations through GoFundMe anymore, um, because I gave. And the reason it was so chilling for me is because that was my money. That was a part of it, frozen. Um, the corporate, I get bent out of shape when, you go to a Dunkin' Donuts and they tell you that they can't take tips. I get very upset. The corporations think that they can tell us what we can and can't do with our money. They don't own the employees. If I want to give somebody a tip, I should be able to give them a tip. But here's a corporation that was definitely telling me what I could and could not do with my money, and that's it for me. And GoFundMe. We're not doing GoFundMe anymore, and there is another
Hit
out.
us about that. What's the second option there? Or the better option?
So if you would like to donate to the Gray Zone, or utilize a platform that promises not to do what happened to the Gray Zone, you could go to www.spotfund.com. It's spotfund.com. I will say that when I went to request a refund from GoFundMe, everywhere they could ask to verify my information, re-verify my information, it asked me. It took me about 20 minutes to even just get into the site to request my refund. It took me maybe 3 to 5 minutes to make the donation. But as of the other day, I did. Well, as of yesterday, I did receive my refund from GoFundMe. So I'm going to turn around and I'm going to donate that money through Spot Fund to the Gray Zone. And as of now, they were trying to raise $90,000 on the GoFundMe. They've upped it to 150,000, and they already have exceeded 100,000 or at $118,122. So that is thousands more than they actually had on GoFundMe. So I
Wow.
guess the benefit or the good thing of this story is
It
uh,
brought attention.
GoFundMe gave them free advertising for their fundraiser.
Free advertisement. That's what they did.
Yeah.
I don't think these corporations really understand that the population in America and Canada and the Western world is not happy with them. And it's very clear to the everyday person that like they're acting as if they got power. You know, a lot of us grew up being told it was the government. You know, you learn the three branches and everything else like that. We didn't know there was a fourth. We didn't know these people could come along and start telling us what to do too. And that feels awkward to an American. Because when
Yeah.
you double check your history books and you go, wait,
Well,
huh?
the mainstream media was supposed to, kind of be the fourth branch of government. And they've
Dishonor
been
themselves.
yeah, they've been acquired by the corporations and the government. So we don't, it's independent journalists like this at the gray zone that are writing the way that the mainstream media should be reporting.
Wow. So
And
they gave up their own honor.
what's that?
They gave up their own honor. They gave up their honor.
Yeah.
They,
So I encourage you to look at the gray zones reporting. It's a lot of foreign policy reporting, a lot of things that the UK and the American government are doing. But the reporting is great. You can see uh, Max Blumenthal, Anya Parampel, Aaron Matei on other YouTube and streaming outlets, guests on other people's shows, broadcasts of their own. Aaron Matei is part of Useful Idiots with Katie Halper. And I would just encourage you to, to keep looking at these independent journalists and just hear a different narrative. And at some point, I've started constructing it. I will be releasing a link tree to the independent journalists that I recommend. So, do you have anything to say to wrap up?
no, not on this one. I mean, I think you handled this one very well. So I think a lot of people should definitely watch this quick episode and go support the Gray Zone independent journalists. We really support them, and independent reporters. So it's actually one of my favorite things to do. So anytime I see somebody new or that's out there on the concrete or dirt, as I should say, in the dirt, I it's awesome. Like I don't have words to say for that. These people are brave, and I'm seeing it. I mean, people are all over the world doing this work, and this is not a safe. I feel like I'm sure every generation said it before, but I truly believe that this era right now is probably one of the most dangerous. You
Well,
know, it's
I
definitely one of the most diverse, but because of that, it seems that though we have the access to diversity, we're close enough proximity. It's almost like everything is collapsing, and I say what I say because of the reporting and watching reporters get hung over small things. So I can't even imagine what happens when they cover the big things. If this is what happens when a small story is taken to this extreme,
yeah.
you know.
And I would agree with you, Mo. When I was coming up, when I was about your age, they were still making movies
Mm-hmm.
um, about what would happen if authoritarianism came into the United States or just came into anywhere. And a lot of the language that you would hear in these movies, we're hearing now. They're dismantling our civil rights, and we really have to fight for the right to of our free speech, of our freedom to assemble.
Mhm.
And I don't know how things will turn out, but you know, the establishment, because I'm not going to just point at the Democrats, though the Democrats, what's funny, Mo, is that when we were sitting around the dinner table and the extended family would be there, it was all Democrats around the table, and I remember an uncle being just so aggravated and frustrated. God, the Republicans just walk in lockstep. They
Mhm.
all vote together. Nobody, no, they all just you know stay loyal to what and now that's the Democrats. It's like flipped. I mean, the only dissent that you see is the Freedom Caucus in the federal government, and they're discounted as crazies.
Yeah.
My thing is the crazies are anti-war, so how crazy are they?
And this is something I totally agree with you. Um, there's something I watched a fantastic video last night, and I'm not gonna say the man's name yet, not right now because I want to dive more into his work. But it really it really inspired me, and it felt powerful. So what it made me think about was just like the words belief and ideology, and going back to those words and really understanding the origins of what it's supposed to mean. Because truthfully, this man said something that was interesting about the Western culture is that we have no belief system, and I've always known that. I just couldn't put the word to it. I'm like, what is wrong with our country? Like something is wrong here. And it was the flippy floppy with every few weeks, every few months. And it was the belief. Like our belief. We have no American structural belief anymore. Your generation had your parents and your generation had somewhat of an understanding of the beliefs and
And
morality.
and, and can I sum up what he was saying as sharing common narratives that everybody accepts?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That we just no killing here. This is what makes you go to jail. Forget your color. You do this thing, you go to jail. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's these basic things that we don't have. That we
Right.
don't we start to like these morality things that we're like, okay, that was wrong. You harmed a child. Does not matter if you're black, white, Spanish, you harmed a child, you go down for that. This is just a blank thing. They know people are trying to look for, they're doing identity politics. Everything is about
Hmm.
identity. Everything is about identity. And if you can attach everybody's belief and identity to something, you can make that situation worse than it is. Because put a label on it, people can get mad at it. And that's what's happening. And that's not supposed to be America. We're supposed to have a structural belief system that no matter what identity or what group, ethnic group you are, political party you're from, we all go, this is what we all agree on.
Hmm.
This is what we agree on. This is what the American identity first is before we get into just the rights.
So let's end the episode here. This
Yes.
is supposed to be a mini episode. We'll pray out, and then we're going to be recording our original intention, an iron sharpens iron. So let us pray. Father God, we thank you for this time. And Lord, I just ask that many people can come together and defend the rights and the principles on which this country was founded. That we can argue about the morality and the vision of the founding fathers. But the one thing that I think that we can all come together on was that this country was built on a concept of freedom and a level of freedom which had never been exercised in the world prior to that. And so, God, we ask a blessing on this great experiment, as it's been referred to. And that, Lord, I know that there's many people in the world that look at America right now and shake their heads and say, we need America's leadership in the world. We don't want America to falter. That anything that goes awry, anything that needs repair can be fixed. So, God, we ask that you help fix our republic. That, Lord, you heal these lines of division within our society, and that may we all call this country home and promise to defend the principles of freedom for each and every one of us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Good night.